Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. If you're someone who's passionate about raising the bar in real estate, whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, or agent, you're in the right place. Today's guest is someone who understands that good enough just doesn't cut it in this business. With a reputation built on relentless work ethic and results that speak volumes, he's mastered the art of guiding clients through complex deals with confidence and clarity. From logistics to real estate, his background is packed with proven performance and business savvy moves that fuel growth and trust. He's not just selling homes, he's building lasting partnerships in one of Florida's most competitive markets. Join me in welcoming to the show, Michael Drew Kazemba.
Sir, thank you for having me.
I got that last name right? There?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. Drew, welcome to the show. Really glad to have you on. And again, another young agent out at the Jacksonville Beaches, I imagine, is where you hang.
Yeah, that's for the most part.
Really doing well, and it's so exciting, as I'm sure you've been told. You know, when you're my age and look back, when I was growing up, most of your agents were, you know, a spouse of, you know, someone, you know, their spouse or partner maybe was successful, or just someone who'd been in the business. They were older.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see the opportunities in real estate for young people like yourself.
Yeah, and that's, you know, part of the reason why I'm here today and doing that, because of the opportunities that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to lead up so everyone in the audience gets a little bit to know you and how you actually got into real estate in the I always call it the taste or the smell of it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. But tell us, you 18, 19 years old, what's Drew doing? What are you at that time, what were you thinking about for a career? And then you obviously where you went to and your steps right up to your first brokerage.
Yeah, so 18 or 19, I was still in college at Ole Miss back in Mississippi, which is
Oh,
where I'm
okay.
from.
All right.
And,
You an Eli Manning fan?
Oh, big Eli Manning fan, Manning family fan. Yeah, so I was at Ole Miss, and then I met my now fiance, and she graduated in 2020. So I left Mississippi because she moved to Tampa, and I got down here to Jacksonville was the closest I could get to her. So I didn't start off in real estate, but in college I thought I was going to do engineering, and I got a job in medical sales here in Jacksonville, and just did not enjoy it at all. I was also in a sales kind of environment, but I was on a W-2, so I was working, and not getting to reap the rewards of how hard I was putting my work in. So the craziest thing about me getting into real estate is I got my appendix removed to get 2 weeks time paid off in order to take my test and do the whole course, and I'm not kidding.
Well, okay. So you were studying for the test, and then all of a sudden your appendix, or
No. So
give us that one. That's a good one.
So I had run out of PTO. It was around fall of 2021, and I'd been hating this job, just not liking it. And I found out you could get your appendix removed, and it was not really that, or it wasn't too bad, and you didn't have to have it. And I also learned that through my health benefits at work, I got 3 weeks time paid off. So I started telling my boss and going to the doctor. I went to the doctor about 4 times, telling him my stomach was hurting right there. I told him all the symptoms. Finally, we go this one Friday night, and they're like, okay, this is like the 4th time you've been here. We've done a CT. We don't really see much, but we're going to go ahead and take it out as a precaution. And you can ask my fiance, I'm in the bed at the hospital, and I cheer, and I call my mom, like, hey, I'm getting my appendix taken out. And I was pumped because I knew what I was about to do. So I got it taken out. Literally the next day, I played Halo all day and just beat it. The next day, I woke up, bought the course, and then treated it like a 9 to 5. I got done with it in like 6 days. And then after that, I was interviewing brokerages, and I was off to the races.
Wow, that is sacrifice right there.
Yeah.
So you really didn't have the symptoms. No. This is a total blend. This is wow.
Yeah, kind of back against the wall situation. I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't have money to take the leap, so I can't just take 3 weeks not getting paid. So I had to do what I had to do, and that was part of it. Everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, I list you that on craziness.
Yeah.
To me, I do not like taking meds, and like if the doctor said right now, oh, you got high cholesterol. Well, they're telling me high cholesterol makes you live longer now. They've changed their tune, right?
Yeah.
And that's I refuse to do anything like that, but let alone cut into you. I'm like, dude, unless God tells me I have to cut, I'm not letting them just cut into me for game. But hey, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I had to do it. I mean, I got that itch because my friend Sam kind of got me into it. Back in 2020, when these hedge funds were buying houses like crazy, my friend Sam was really tapped in, and he was wholesaling portfolios. I'm sure you've heard of wholesaling.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing it on a large scale, and they had hedge funds backing them up. So he called me one day, and he was telling me about it. I need to learn it. So I'm getting home from my medical sales job, and I'm sitting there, and I'm learning how to do this process, and then I would go home and skip trace I didn't know how to do it like with the websites now. I was back individually, like white pages, getting people like one at a time, taking me 5 hours to make a list of 50 people to call.
Right.
When I was driving to hospitals the next day, I was calling all these investors, like asking them if they would sell their properties to us. And then we finally got one that bid in Arizona. And I'm about to just lose it. I'm in the gym parking lot, and she signs a contract. I call Sam, I call my fiance, and it was like my salary in one deal. And I was like, okay, that's the itch. And then once that happened, I was like, okay, I got to get into this. I'm leaving what I'm doing. I hate it.
Right.
This is exciting. One of my good friends is doing it. I'm going to do it here. And so that's what happened. And then the hedge funds quit buying after like 2021. So took the pivot, and that's where I became an agent.
Right.
So
interesting. Wow. That's just a really great. I give you credit because I think a lot of, and it's not a generational thing. A lot of young people whether it was me when I was in this young 20 age period that we're talking about here, a lot of them would have folded up and like, hey, I don't like my job. I'll go home and live with mom and dad until I find something better or something. That would be the default, right? That would, if they could do that. And, you go out and sacrifice your appendix, let alone, obviously, like you said, you got your friends doing it. You're combing through phone numbers of books, wherever you guys were getting the information to come. Because, you're making in that business, how many, what's a good ratio? 1 out of 50 actually answer the phone or are willing to work with you in that wholesaling thing?
It was, wholesaling is a different animal, and I don't do wholesaling. That was like purely a time of 2020, like hedge funds buying when they could get money for free, essentially.
Yeah.
And without Sam, that never happened. I would never had that opportunity. So, I would call about 50 people a day just because I'm driving in the van, going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And maybe 15 of them pick up.
Yeah.
Then another 10 of them tell me to kick rocks because I would tell them, if we could give you a market value offer for your home, would you work with us? You're not going to give me a market value offer on 15 homes. Well, you're crazy. And I'm like, okay. And then we would put it in a Excel sheet. We'd send it off to the hedge fund. They'd send it to us, and then we'd work our numbers, and then we'd give them that. And it was kind of crazy how it was happening, but that's what happened. And, that one deal I got ended up falling through, so I never got paid doing that. But I got the itch. That's what was important. But I know people that I know did fantastic with that.
Yeah. Well, there's that business I had on here recently. Tiffany High, and she has a company in Ohio. She started with fixing and flipping. And then now she says she's primarily and she suggests for anyone who wants to get in the business to actually get in the business of wholesaling first. And then if you want to work up the fix and flips, because she's now big enough and has a process and team of people now. I think she said she got 60, 70 employees right now. And these people, a good group of them, the people who are doing or creating the deals are the ones sitting there on the phone making those dials, and not everyone can do that. Or has the discipline to do that, because you do, having worked in a call center in the beginning of my mortgage career, you go a period of time and no one wants to, they're telling you to kick rocks, so you haven't actually got to really put your spiel on and get into the deal and so forth. All of a sudden you get a deal and your attitude sucks, and so you don't get it. Type of thing. Man, that's quite a kickoff story. So, all right, so you decide that real estate is where you want to go. what you have your appendix removed and go get your license.
Yep.
All right. What choices are, because I hope that there's a lot of new agents out there, or agents that are listening right now who are maybe at a brokerage,
Yep.
who are just not where they want to be, maybe thinking about getting out of the business,
Yeah.
when really they're just maybe partnered up with the wrong people. How do you choose your first brokerage?
So I was like, I want to be in the area that I want to work in. Maybe those people can help me locally learn this side of the business, because it's a different animal. I can't just find 15 people who own these properties and call them. Like there's skill to it, and I didn't know where to start as an agent. So I found a couple people on Instagram that I liked, and then I found top producing brokerages on Google. And so I think you had one of the ladies in here, Ponte Vedra, black-haired lady. I interviewed with her down in Ponte Vedra. Matt Roberts, who I'm with now at Someday Homes, interviewed with him 2 years ago. And I interviewed with Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, and what really got me where I was I talked to Matt, who was somebody that I really looked up to. I found him on Instagram. He was a younger guy. He was building houses out at the beach, and he was crushing real estate. He took the time to meet with me, but he also told me the truth, and which is one thing that I love about him. Even if it benefits him to have you, he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And he told me I cannot put the time in to teach you how to do this. So he told me to go to DJ and Lindsay. They were on my list, but I'd heard so many things here and there about, how it goes, and I'm sure everybody knows kind of what they hear about them. But I got there, and I actually loved it. I loved the environment. I loved that they kind of they do enforce like a 9 to 11 call time, but it's for your own good. And I think with my prior experience in calling already, doing it out of my own
willingness to,
then you give me 100, 200 leads that people say didn't work out before, and then I get on the phone with them and I call them. It was like amazing. I make as much money as I want to. I can sit here and call and call and call. And so I would think DJ and Lindsay is honestly a great place to start, or any kind of brokerage that's going to have anything like they offer, where you get leads and you have somebody that is always there to help you with questions, contracts, et cetera, because once you learn how to talk to leads and once you learn how the transactions work, you can kind of figure out, or this is what my path was, because nothing that I did was organic at DJ and Lindsay. It was all bought leads. Once I kind of figured out the people that I liked working with and how the transaction went, then I kind of figured out, okay, how do I want to grow this organically? And so that would be my take, is going somewhere like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's the at bats mean so much. Having in 2005, you probably don't know my story. I actually, my audience does, who's anyone who's listening, who listens to a lot of our shows, I talk about it often. I started at Quicken Loans. They were hiring 120 loan officers a month in outside of Greater Detroit, and putting you through a 30-day class. You didn't need the licenses like you need today, so it does take a little bit longer. So they've changed how the process by which they do, and then they've changed their model. Back then, it was a refi shop. Yeah, refis were 90% of their business. But the actual at bats of talking to people, and of course on the loan side, looking at credit reports, what deals actually, you're seeing more deals. You're sitting around, because you're in a call center, around people who are getting deals done. Oh, what was the issues, the thorns on that deal, and how did you get through them? And so you start to learn all these. You're getting almost 10 times the effect than the typical retail loan officers, as I'm doing today. If you're a real estate agent that actually wants a loan officer who is savvy in putting deals together, you're not hiring a 25-year-old retail loan officer in a position like I am now, because they probably haven't written 10, 20 loans if they've been doing it for a year or two. They, and again, unless they've been fed leads. If they're being fed leads and they're actually calling out most of the time, but if they're out there just waiting for the real estate agents, that's only, if you get a few a month, you're great, right? Yeah. So the at bats just means so much. I'm totally supportive of DJ and Lindsay and their business model. I think it's what they do, and like a young person, like you said, who was willing to go and say, okay, I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone, because I know I smell what it can make. and you put the time in the fruit.
Yeah,
fair.
I got the labor or the fruits of my labor.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I owe everything to starting there. Because again, in this experience, I'm sure you'll agree with me. You can have an agent who's done it for 30 years, but if you do one transaction a year, you're not going to know as much as somebody who's getting the at-bats. They're doing deals every day. They're talking to clients. You talk to 50 people a day and you do a deal a week, you're going to have so much more experience even if you've only been in it for a year. Yeah. By the end of that year, you're shaped into an agent who has seen a lot of.
Well, the whole volume of that office too, because a lot of you were in there, and a lot of you were working deals, and I'm sure there's a lot of water cooler talk. Hey, I got this deal. This thing's going sideways, but hopefully whoever's in the office helps, put the deals together as you would expect. As obviously you're at Someday. Yeah. There are other people in the office, or the importance of collaborating with other top real estate agents. Say, hey man, I got this deal. This is going wrong. It's gone sideways. How would you handle it? And you start creating, but you're 100% right. You're there. You're hearing everything around you. Your deal plus the deals that are happening around you. Your learning curve is shortened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's and I can't give him enough praise. I love that model. I love my time there, and it was just time to kind of go after that. But here we are now.
Well, so taking it from the DJ and Lindsay. They create a structured environment, I guess if you want to call it that, and having had several other people on, and why they did it and what they saw in the structure. Now that you're out there again with a boutique brokerage, what structure did you take from them that you still structure into your daily routines now?
So and I've kind of had an off year due to some medical issues, but when I'm cranking full time,
because you had that appendix taken out.
That's exactly. So outside of that, when I'm crushing, I am, and even my broker now pulled me aside because I'm trying to get back on it now that I'm getting a little bit better. I'm time blocking like a madman. So kind of like we were talking about ChatGPT earlier. I use it like my journal, like my best friend. I vent to it. Everything goes into it. So I put all of my tasks in there, and I assign like how long it takes me to do a task. For example, like this podcast is on my thing for today, and it's uploaded right into my Google Calendar. I have everything time blocked, but I take that structure, and every morning I start off and I call expireds or for sale by owners, and that's where one thing that I carried, like that call mentality of, that's how I get business. That is one thing that I carried with me. And then right after that, I go right in to make sure that my CRM is completely clean every single day. Everyone's got a task. Everyone's got a follow up. And I take intentional notes. I know exactly what's going on with each lead. Even if I talked to them 4 months ago, I know exactly where to pick up again today. And so that is one thing that they drilled into us was your mornings are for calls. Right after that, you do your to-dos, and then after that, you go and show houses and you sell them.
Right.
And that's how I still work.
Well, the importance of, like you said, taking notes on everybody, because when you are making so many phone calls, and if you are having, maybe some feeler conversations with people before they actually make a decision, you want to have something to remind you of what the last conversation was about. Because if you're talking to all these different people, you're like, was that the same John that's the other John? What street do they live on? You know what I mean? You start, your mind, you can confuse yourself, but by, again, taking those notes, ChatGPT can help you do that every day. You can have it create a spreadsheet, and we'll give you an update link. Make sure you take that link and save it, because if you don't save it and then you try to go back to it a couple days later, it's not there. So what are some, since we're on that, I think this is a topic where, as a young person, you're absorbing this, right? The whole technology thing. But I've had a couple older, Sharon Alters, and there's a couple other more senior agents, probably twice your age, that are actually grasping it. But there is this huge group in the middle, I think from 40 to 60 on average, that aren't quite getting their arms around the whole AI thing and how it can change what you do, no matter what you're doing, but in the real estate business.
Oh, it's so powerful. So, I mean, just for example, I'm not very technologically savvy, but with ChatGPT, I can do anything I want. For example, I get a lead come into my website. I don't have to lift a finger. I have it Zapier, I just call it Zapped. right where it goes into my follow-up boss, and then it creates a to-do. So that way I know that someone came in, I can call them. I get notified on that immediately. I've made drip campaigns where I can have a lead turn off, or like I don't have to personally reach out to them. I have the AI doing it. That, and then just like learning about things in the business I don't know about. And it teaching me so that I can teach my clients, because, for example, I have a high income earner that I work with, and he's trying to figure out like tax breaks. So he's not a real estate professional, but I learned about call center.
Next door here is a real estate tax attorneys, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, and he's not a real estate professional, but he's interested in buying property, and I'm trying to figure out like what is our best move here. And so I give it details about my client, I give it details about what he's looking for, and I give him why his goal. And we're learning about like call segregation. Well, if you're not a real estate professional, you can also qualify for your income, to your active income, to qualify for that with an Airbnb. So if he does it as an Airbnb and not a long-term rental, there's some tax breaks there. And again,
no tax advice is being given out right now.
Yeah.
Just go search it yourself.
Yeah, but stuff like that. And so we'll go have a conversation, but like talk to your CPA about this. Like, did you know about this? And of course he didn't know about it. But like, I also would not have known about that had I not done the chat GPT and try to find all this stuff out, because I don't have anyone else in my office doing that. And I didn't have anybody in my office at TJ Lindsay doing that. And I don't know other agents who are kind of dealing with that, unless really you see it more on the commercial side. And I've not been in that business where you're talking about like depreciation over multiple units and stuff like that. Right.
I think I was talking to my mother, who's 80, and I was explaining to her chat GPT, and she's used it a little bit, but I think, as we were talking pre-show, you have got to, as some professionals say, get it to know you. You have to start using it, talking to it, explaining it to your business. It's the only way you're truly going to get really good answers. If you're just going on there and asking blah and asking for immediate response, it's compiling information throughout the internet, and then coming back to you. Like I think someone explained to it, it doesn't know what 2 + 2 is. What it's doing is going out through the internet and basically by consensus coming back and telling you it's 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not giving it all the background, all the color, or I had a stone pass here recently. Did not know what. I came in the office and all of a sudden I get this sharp pain in my back. I'm like, what in the world's going on? I start talking to ChatGPT about everything and how I'm feeling, and it basically said that was one of the options. And then a few hours later, it was hurting really bad, and it's like, if this came on all of a sudden and it's really hurting you that bad, you need to go to the ER. Yeah. And I got a doctor's appointment anyway. But that's it, because I gave it all the information. I told it everything, so it had full context of why I was asking the question.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do it with, again, I've been going with the medical stuff too, so we'll get off of that, but I do the same thing, and it's helped my doctors try to figure out where to navigate next. So like, just outside of real estate, the power that it has is absolutely insane, outside of just time blocking your day, making your schedule for you, telling you how to stay on track, helping you with real estate. Like, people who aren't using it are definitely kind of losing out in their business. I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. Well, just like if you got ChatGPT, you should never have writer's block. And I think it's the same thing. Is that if you're a real estate agent or a loan officer or whatever, like, hey, what should I be doing? What are some things I could be doing? If I want to do this, what would be the best way to do it? I think for a lot of people, I know for me, I wish I had this when I was in school. I mean, the things you can do with it. Yeah. I mean, but just writing a professional email. I've told the story before. I needed an underwriting exception on a loan, and so I went into ChatGPT and I told it everything I could possibly tell it about the situation, and I said, I need you to write an email to talk to an underwriter to convince them, based on these compensating factors, that we should allow this to happen, or whatever, approve it. Yes.
Heck yeah.
And everyone who saw it's like, oh my God, that's such an awesome email.
Yeah.
It's because I told it everything it needed, and it structured it into a professional. And you can go in there and tell it you want to be a Harvard law professor, or you want to, hey, write me an email like I'm Ryan Serhant. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it for my seller reports. So, I still do like my full in-depth CPA or CMA, and I find everything myself, and then I feed everything into ChatGPT, and it makes this great report.
Right.
And my sellers love that.
Yep. I needed to influence them or encourage them or whatever, however you want to put in there. So you reach a point at DJ and Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you were doing well there. But what came to your conclusion that it's time for me to move? Because you put almost about 2 years there.
Yeah, 2 years.
There you go. What made you want to break off and go to Someday?
Well, I started to mess around.
If we can talk about that, I don't know.
We can. I started to want to grow organically and grow my own business, and I kind of hit a block there where I wasn't learning anything else. And I get very OCD, ADHD, and I've always got to do this and that. And I do get shiny object syndrome a lot. But I also, I like continue to want to learn and like be more than just an agent. Like I don't want to just open the door, write the contract, and boom, I'm done for you. Like I want to learn more. And so it was really hard with the schedule that they had. And like if you are good at your job and you do what you're supposed to do, you are going to be pumping, and your 60 hours a week are all dedicated to the DJ Lindsay leads. So it's hard to kind of break away and do your own thing. But what started was Matt, who I interviewed with him 2 years ago, told me he didn't have the time for me. He came into our office and he had just bought this double lot in Jacksonville Beach, and he was about to build these 2 homes on it. And I'm like, man, that was one thing that I loved about Matt. I'm going to go talk to him and be like, hey, I saw you just bought those. Can we set up a meeting, and I want to learn what you did. Like, how did you evaluate this deal? How did you learn to do what you're doing? And so I'm at that time where I saw him. I was kind of getting anxious to learn something more. We have a meeting, and he sees what I've done, and he kind of just tells me it's perfect timing for him, where he kind of needs a right-hand man, and kind of hit the races after that.
Yeah.
So he brought me on, and learning development, learning the construction side of things, which is like, again, I'm happy because I've got somebody who told me the truth, is a great guy all around, and then he's also helping me become who I want to be.
Yeah.
Outside of just the agent, so like the developer, the construction, all of that, and learning that, and it's kind of how I got to Someday and why I left DJ Lindsay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing. It was just I wanted to grow more.
Yeah, you want to expand your horizons. No, I think it makes you, having many of the top real estate agents on in the area, it makes you a better real estate agent. You're got a full, and you make me think of Holly Griggs, who's now with Engel Volkers, which is now Christie's. Holly is the same way. In other words, she's got her hands in helping developers develop, design.
Yeah.
She's flipping homes herself, helping others buy flips. I mean, she's doing, and she has so much life experience, and then now her real estate, she's really seeing it from 30,000 feet. Because if you're just focused on that residential, which is fine, if you're really good at residential and you're making the life you want to live, it's all the power to you. You're at really just a ground level to all the other different things, like you're talking about, like buy land, hire a contractor, build this duplex on there or whatever. I think to me, right now, and you probably agree with the true affordable housing shortage we have.
Yeah.
Buying properties or situations where you can put the accessory dwelling unit on, or a duplex and that sort of thing, multiple family living, I guess, especially out at the beach, because there's not any more land out there.
Yeah.
These things are all out there, and you won't see it unless you're getting the experience that you're getting.
Yeah, and I mean, you made my eyes light up because you're talking my language, and just to come to think of it, my experience in these other fields and like doing the flips, and I run numbers for my investors on those. I run numbers for the builders that we're working with, and Matt's taught me all of that. But I've taken all of that into the consumer as well. So like right now, and I do this with all of them, my young families that are buying houses. Right now it's a very weird market, and I think everybody in here can agree. And prices are really high, and it's hard for somebody in their 20s and 30s to buy a home right now.
Yeah.
So, you may not get that shiny house that you want forever, but my thing with a lot of people right now is thinking outside of just being an agent and closing a deal. I want you to buy a house where you have equity and you know the area around you is going to grow, so that when you do want to move in 2 or 5 years, you held through this market, no matter how weird it is, and you do have equity where you can go and put a down payment on that next place that you like better.
Right.
So that's like a big thing for me, and I don't think that I would have that eye or mentality had I not worked with a lot of investors, had I not been in that scene. And
I think the thing there is confidence, because you've experienced yourself. Anyone can talk about that, but they can't talk about it with a conviction to their clients that you're talking about. These first time home buyers. Obviously, I got Bloomberg on every morning. It was on when you came in, and really most of people's wealth through life, majority of your average citizens, is in their real estate. Yep. They've lived in the same house, paid it off. Now they're sitting on this house worth whatever. I imagine you're getting the same type of deals that a lot of agents in town, north of 50% are cash from these people coming from outside the area. Because again, they've lived in their house for so long, or you've been in there, 10 years or whatever, and the equity grew, and now they got this huge block of equity money to come down and plop it down and pay cash for a house. And that's where the true wealth is made. So you're getting this experience, so you're able to pour into them with confidence, because like you're seeing it, you're working and talking with other people who are doing it.
And most of my clients are 20 to 40s, and also you're talking about stocks and the economy and everything, and I was there's this realtor out in Delaware that I watch who does a bunch of stuff, and he was talking the other day about how we're in like a K-shaped economy, and if we're really going to look out for our clients right now, that wealth gap is getting bigger between upper class and middle class and lower class. So what can we still do? And it's getting homes with equity, because that is where most Americans get their wealth. It's from real estate.
Right.
It's how it's been for generations, and that dream isn't gone yet. It's just definitely way harder right now.
Yeah.
And so again, that equity for somebody right now is really what I'm pushing, and I don't know why I keep going back to that, but
I think
it's just important to me.
One of the products that we have here, and we have obviously in this market, not typically at the beach, but is the manufactured home market. And I truly believe the really affordable housing is for some of these investors to go back. I know the bigger pockets, he's a big manufactured home guy, and to go to some of these rural areas, especially with all the money being poured into the United States right now. There's new auto plants going up. We've got to build power plants. They're not building them in the middle populated areas. They're going out and finding cheap land to build these plants or power plants or whatever, and people have to work there.
Yeah.
And to go out and find this inexpensive land, who knows, put 20 manufactured homes on it.
Yeah.
You could build true wealth very inexpensively there, and obviously provide a home that's affordable. Yeah. I think I'm sure you talk to a lot of different investors and a lot of young people. They all want to buy this dream investment home instead of the home that, you can go find this big fancy property on the beach, but if you got to mortgage it to the hilt and you're only going to make, if you make anything, $500 to $1,000 a month off of it, you've got a lot of stuff hanging out there, a lot of debt and a lot of risk. Where if you went over here and bought a lot of land and put 4 manufactured homes on it and still made the $1,000 a month, you have a lot less but a lot less opportunity for an upswing. But that property now, it sits there and you got renters in there, and all of a sudden 3 years later, now what's it worth when you've got basically a business, which is what an investment property is, a business now that's pouring that income. Someone's willing to pay more for it because you've already built it.
Yeah, I saw something on Instagram the other day about these guys. I think in Atlanta, there was a town of 1,500 people, so it's a really small town. They built a 40-unit apartment complex that was $4 million. And it's just a testament, kind of like you were saying, you got to build those homes for those people who work and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy because if you look at that on paper, everybody's probably like, that's not going to work.
1,500 people, 40 units, $4 million. Yeah, I'd be like, okay, how many percentage of those 1,500 don't have a place to live right now?
Yeah, it's nothing town. Well, they did it, and they filled all the apartments. And it's kind of like if you build it right, they will come. And I think, kind of like you were saying, people need housing right now, and going off of that,
they probably built a quality unit that, because no one else was investing in that area. In other words, developers and so forth. They're like, wow, this apartment complex is new. I'm renting this old house over here. I'd rather live in a newer.
Yeah, and that's where mine was going. You're out in one of those rural communities that nobody really thinks about developing in, but you develop in it and it works out. So I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but I saw that and it was really neat to see.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into some of our trending questions here that I've got here. These are questions that, according to ChatGPT, that these are questions that are being asked for throughout the internet, and get your opinion on them, because that's really what it's asking for. The first one, I think, is you're should have a positive answer. I hope so. Is it a good time to buy a house in Jacksonville?
Yeah, well, historically, November through February are the best time to buy a house as a buyer. Not to sell. For sellers, it's a little bit harder. But to buy a house, right. Yes. And also, again, what I'm saying is, I'm sure you can agree too, during COVID, we had the anomaly where houses were appreciating 10, 20% year over year.
Huge demand. So drove price up. Yeah. Drove
price up. And I mean, I saw some of the houses that were $300,000 out of the beach turn into $600,000. So it's insane. It's a great time. Don't let the media scare you. We are in a correction right now. I don't think we're in a crash right now. And I mean, I would love your opinion on that. We're in a much needed correction. And so I think it's a great time to buy a house right now, especially if you're trying to, not come out of pocket a lot. You want your closing costs covered. You want to buy a rate buy down, get your rate a little bit lower from the seller. I think now is a fantastic time if you can find a house that you like.
I totally agree. Couple points. One, right now, the value of the agents, and I'm sure you would agree with this, you really, when you're out there pricing a home right now, you really got to look at like what's happened in maybe the last 30, 60 days versus the last 6 months, because things are changing. It is a buyer's market. And one thing that's always mind-boggled me about real estate is the equity. Like you said, they were buying even some of these new construction homes, whatever, $350,000, $400,000. Now they could sell them for $600,000-$700,000, some even more. Over in Nocatee, they're wanting over $1 million for some homes where I can reach out and touch somebody. Personally, I'm not buying that home. Nocatee does not mean that much to me, but others, it does. Yeah. So good for them. But they're basically sitting on, even if they didn't put any money down, they're sitting on $200-$300 or more in equity.
Exactly.
Unforeseen gain. Great if you made a stock investment. Maybe you bought a lot of Facebook when an initial public offering, and all of a sudden it's worth what it is now, and you're like, wow, I made all this money, and it's unforeseen gain. But now all of a sudden, some of those people are having to move for whatever reason. It could be unfortunate divorce, maybe there's a death and whatever, to downsize, or corporate America's moved them. So now they want to sell that home. So they're sitting on this equity that happened to them. They did not, it's not like they built it into their life plan. It just happened. Yeah. So they're willing, depending on how desperate is the situation, to cut pretty good deals.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing it firsthand. And like my last few deals have been phenomenal for my buyers. I mean, I won't tell you how phenomenal because I don't want to make some sellers or other buyers get jealous. But we've had some phenomenal deals come through. So, again, I think now is a fantastic time to buy, and the best time to buy is when you can afford it.
Yep. And we have had deals, numerous deals. Jeremy and I are working on one in North Carolina. I had one here locally where the appraisals came in nearly $100,000 higher than actually what they sold it for.
Yeah. Okay. I had one like that, and then freaking closing costs covered, rate buy down, all the knots.
You just got to ask on a lot of those situations. If you're looking to buy a condo right now, and I think in Florida in general, but definitely Northeast Florida because that's our territory, now's the deal time.
Now's the deal time for the condos.
Yes. You can get some great deals on condos, even though, they have, but you know what? If you're into that, I don't want to have to bother mowing the lawn. I don't want to take care of the outside of the house. You don't want any of that stuff. I want all this stuff that you can find some great deals on some condos.
The condo thing, I will say, do your due diligence.
But you have to find a good agent who's going to do their due diligence, and then when it comes to the lending side, we obviously do our due diligence. We pull financials and all that stuff too. Now, that's because we don't want to risk on to lend if we're lending you money. Yeah. But yes, you do need a great real estate agent that knows how to dig into the condos, find out what's going on, and make sure they're not getting themselves in lawsuits and other stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's been a nightmare the last few years.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Do you? I don't know if maybe. Do you? The question is how much of a down payment. I don't know why this is a common question that can. I think it's probably always in the top 10 questions. Needing a down payment. Are you in the customers? Are you working with some first-time home buyers right now that are looking for assistance? And
yeah, I mean, I actually had one just reach back out to me. She's actually using NACA. If you are familiar with NACA, so they're going to cover her down payment closing cost. Then I've got a VA guy who, I guess not down payment assistance because he's VA, but definitely needs that closing cost assistance.
It's right now for a VA buyer, you're moving in with no money out of your pocket.
Yeah, and
you should the seller should be paying your closing costs. You got 100% financing.
Yeah.
If you're a veteran right now that's renting and
You're
obviously you don't have other issues, you should be buying a home.
Yeah. On top of that, one of my other first-time home buyers, one had a kind of a crazy situation, so that she didn't really need help with her down payment. I mean, what exactly is the question?
The question was, how much of a down payment do I need, and how can I improve my credit before buying? I guess we can. It's a two-part question.
Talk to your lender.
Yeah. Great answer.
Talk to your lender.
That's exactly what. If you're in the testing the waters and not sure if you can buy or not, yes, you need to talk to your lender. We've got all sorts of different ways, whether it's coaching you on credit. Because we do have some instantaneous things. Says, yeah, if we pay off this card over here, whatever, your credit score will get to this. But we actually have to plug Planet Home Lending a little bit here. We actually have a program that will give you 100% FHA. So if you're not a veteran, it is a small second mortgage. We'll give you anywhere from 3.5% to up to 5% in down payment assistance to cover that down payment that you need, which is 3.5% as a minimum on an FHA loan. And the great thing about it is, as long as you're approved on the FHA loan, you're good. Where the state, you got to have a 640 credit score. Your debt ratio has to be a little bit lower. Here, if you got a 600 credit score and we run you through and we get you approved on an FHA loan, we can give you the down payment assistance behind it with our program here in the house. So
I'm glad you just said that because I have a lady that would work perfect for.
Yeah.
And then I was wondering what I was going to do with her.
Yeah, because you do run into debt ratio issue. Well, 640, that's first challenge, right? And then the second one is FHA will almost go to 56.9% is what it will allow on a maximum overall back-end debt ratio. Where if you're using Florida housing and doing a FHA loan, you're capped at 50. Yeah. So sometimes that 7% difference in gap is the difference of getting approved. And it's a great program. It's all in-house, so we don't have to go to somebody else and get it done. And yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
Is going to be getting a call from me after this.
All right, very good. Yeah, but as far as improving credit, call your lender. We have some tools. I'm not so big at doing this 20 years now. Not so big on some of the. I can't trust these credit repair companies, just simply because a lot of them are just subscriptions and they want to collect your money, and the longer they can keep you on it, the more money they collect and that sort of thing. Yeah. There's sometimes our experience as an experienced lender can tell you. Now, someone who just started working in the mortgage business probably doesn't know enough to actually have experience of what you can do with your credit. But the credit reporting companies we use to pull the credit reports have resources where we can go say, how can I get this credit score? And it'll tell us. Yeah. Pay off this, do this, get this removed, type of things, just electronically for free for you.
I'm going to plug in to listen to him there. I had a client who insisted, I told him not to do this, but he was going through with a credit repair guy, insisted on putting a down payment on this house. Ended up, he didn't get his credit repaired, and we were out of our financial contingency because he also chose his own lender outside of listening to me, and he lost his binder because that guy did not pull through on what he promised. So listen to
there's so many variables when it comes to credit. I would if you're that marginal, don't put money on anything. Yeah 100%. Good advice there. What should I know when buying an investment property in Northeast Florida?
What should you know? Well, it depends on your goal. But you should know your net operating expenses and your net operating income or estimated income before buying anything, because you can buy a property. Is it going to cash flow? That's kind of up to your numbers and what the property needs. So you need to know how much it costs to run that property, how much you need to put into the property, and you need to know what you're expected to make out of it.
Right. So, how do you, when you break that down, because right now, obviously, where interest rates are at, obviously, a lot of people hoping they go. I think that we might see some 5 stuff. I don't think you're going to see 4 anymore. So if you're sitting around waiting for that, you're going to be sitting around for a long time, in my opinion. So right now, if I'm looking at an investment property and I'm not really, I don't need to make money from it. Maybe you have a big corporate job and you're making good money. You just want to invest in real estate and really bank on, hey, I'm going to rent this out for the next 5 or 10 years or whatever. It's going to pay down the mortgage. The equity based on historical thing is going to slowly grow there. How do you help that person break down that this is a good property to buy? Now, most people don't want to take a loss, an actual physical loss. They may take loss on their tax returns because of what we allow to write off. But an actual dollar for dollar monthly bring in, monthly go out, and obviously you're building in expenses for repairs or that. Yeah, kind of
and I'm sure every other agent on the planet can agree with me right now that finding a cash flowing property for the right price right now is extremely hard. And that's, again, back to the wholesalers, that's like their forte and what they do full time. Mm-hmm. So, but also someone not in real estate doesn't know how to get paired up with somebody like that. So I use a lot of wholesalers for anything like that to try to find those properties, just because I don't have the time to find those opportunities. And most of the time, those are people that need to sell quick for whatever reason. It's very hard to find a cash flowing property on the MLS. It's not that it's impossible, but it is hard, especially in today's world. With 6% interest rates and on a DSCR loan, you're seeing up to 7 now, 7.5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So it gets really hard. The one lady that I'm seeing that I work with that is crushing it with buying those properties is she's picked out her neighborhood. I won't tell you which one, but there's a neighborhood out at the beach that she's picked out, and she knows the values of these homes like the back of her hand. And we go in, and 9 times out of 10, we're in this market able to negotiate a killer deal from that seller because they've been on the market for 100+ days. She comes in, her and her husband are very handy, and then they go and Airbnb it and they do a killing. But for your regular person, I think right now you just need to find a place with equity, and breaking even on a property right now I think is good. If you're doing well enough to buy a property and you don't need the extra cash but you want to buy an asset, again, I go and me and Matt talk about this all the time because I get investors. It's a lot of my business. It's really hard to cash flow in a long-term rental right now because you're just not going to get the payment. Honestly, renting is cheaper than buying on that for certain ones.
Right.
So I would say an equity play. And if you're planning only to hold it for 3 to 5 years, buy it with equity. You win in investing when you buy the house, not when you go to sell it. You win when you buy it. So you buy in a good area, you buy something that's undervalued. Maybe you have to put a little bit of love into it, and you do it, and then you just hold it. Personally, for me, I'm looking for one right now, and it's extremely hard. And I'm trying to come with it myself emotionally that I might only break even on a house.
Yeah.
And if I have good equity, if I have, say, $50,000, $60,000 worth of equity, it's okay.
To kick off.
Yeah, to kick off. And then if I plan on it appreciating over the next 2 years, if it appreciates 3 to 6% like historically it should, then I'll be okay. And that's kind of what I'm looking for myself. Something where I can maybe make $100, but break even is okay with me right now.
Yeah. I know you could agree with this. Watch out for, I know for a period of time there was a lot of people going into new construction, brand new subdivisions, getting in there in the first couple of homes because the builders trying to get it started, and slowly the price starts to increase as demand for that neighborhood. But right now, with everything's slowing down because of whatever, the rates or whatever, if you were on a 3 to 5 year hold and they're still building in there, your butt's in the wind.
Yeah, and I've seen it, and heck, I've worked with, I think, about 7 investors this year who have all lost money. They have not had the right guidance. They've had people tell them that this property was going to do X, and it didn't, and we've sold all of those properties for a loss. So I might not be telling you the most exciting news, and I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's the importance of working with someone like you. You're in it. You're living it. You're looking for yourself. You're working with people who are doing similar stuff. You've got a real grip on investment in the Jacks Beach area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say do your homework. Make sure who you work with, if you are trying to do anything like that, knows what they're dealing with and what they're talking with, because it's a hard market to win in right now.
Well, this leads us into the next question, which I was just leading to. How does working with an agent who also knows investor deals help me as a homeowner?
Well, it helps you get my knowledge and understand how to avoid costly mistakes. You're never going to cry about a deal you didn't get, but you're definitely going to cry about a deal that you lost money on. So that's my best advice. I again, if it's a flip, if it's a monthly hold, if it's a build, I have calculators that can calculate everything that you're going to do with that property, and they'll show us exactly where it's going to go. For example, you want to buy a flip, okay, let's look at what they're asking, and then we're going to run it backwards. We're going to go, okay, how much do you need to put into it? Okay, are you borrowing hard money? Okay, what's the cost of your money?
Right.
How long do you think this project is going to take? Okay, well, when you go to sell it, you're going to have to pay agents. Here's what that costs. So I factor in all of that. And on paper, you might not know some of these things or take them into consideration. And you're like, oh, I can make $20,000 here. But when I run it and I run what it's going to actually sell for and how the situation's going to fall, you're negative 13 grand. So big swing there. So that's where having somebody like me is helpful. And I've seen it, and I just have to preach that to the choir. Like, if you're not doing this every day, don't expect to be able to make money on your first deal or something like that. Like you need help.
What would be, so if I'm looking, I want to buy an investment property, maybe I'm already an experienced investor, but just not here in Jack's Beach, for example. But so I'm looking for that real estate agent who are going, what would be some questions that someone would, in interviewing a real estate agent, to find out, to see if they truly are going to know what they need to know?
Ask them if they've done it themselves is a big one. Do you have any, I would say ask them if they've done it themselves. Do they have any experience in that? Because you can watch YouTube videos and it teaches you, but I'm sure if you've ever done one yourself, you can agree the process is a lot different. Whenever you go through it, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts that happen.
Right.
So you uncover a lot during that process. On top of that, do they have the right partners with them? For example, how much does it cost for their money? If they're borrowing money, where are they getting it from? How are they doing it? Are they working on draws? How do they pay their draws? Like these kind of questions, like the structure of the deal and how you're going to get there. Not just the house, and then say the house needs work. Does that out-of-town investor have a portfolio of contractors that you can trust that do good work? That's another thing we run into all the time, and I'm sure every agent here that is watching this can agree. We walk in so many houses where they did a flip, and maybe the investor was out of town, but that flip is horrendous, and then they wonder why it sits in the market for 200 days, but the trim's halfway falling off the wall, and the paint is 3 different colors.
Right.
And it's because you hired somebody you didn't know. So making sure that you have trusted partners, making sure that you have great lenders, making sure you have a smart agent, somebody who's going to tell you the truth, not the fluff. Those are some questions that I would ask.
Someone listening to what you just poured out there would be like, oh my God, with all that, all the things I need, I don't even want to get involved. But it's because you're willing to take on all of that is why you were able to get the best deals.
Yeah.
Right. To hire the right agent who's going to help you to surround yourself with the key people, the contractors and all that stuff. That's where you save money, get the best dollar for the sale because the job's done. All these different things, and all the things that you just mentioned. That's what. So if you're going, wow, that's too much. Well, that's why you're paying retail price, and you're not going to get the best deal because you're not surrounding yourself by these experts who are guiding you and making sure things are done efficiently, or all the different words you want to throw in there. Yeah. You mentioned Airbnb. Is it oversaturated in Northeast Florida?
I would say so. It's not as powerful as it once was. I see rates kind of going down a little bit on a day-to-day, but it's still strong. I mean, that's how my client that I love and adore, that I've met her, that's how she lives her life. It's off of Airbnb. So it's still strong. You just got to know what you're doing, and the more experience you are.
Now, what are some of the thorns with Airbnb? And I'm asking this question from the standpoint because everyone's like, oh, yeah, just go buy this house on Airbnb. But you have to realize if you're short-term renting, that means, there is obviously versus the long-term rental, right? The renter's in there for a year. You're not typically going in and painting 6 months after the guy's in there. Yeah. But and you're not cleaning every week or weekend. These people who want to buy a place and rent it out for 2 and 3 days at a time, like a hotel room.
Yeah.
Well, you got to go in there and clean it for the next person.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of logistics involved in this type of thing. How do you build that into the ROI situation when you're looking at that and going, okay, you want to rent this out for long weekends? All right, so now we're gonna have a cleaning staff. That's gonna cost you this much.
Yep.
So now you got to. Are we gonna get that rent now that you got to bump it up to cover all these logistical things?
So just to be very clear with one thing, if I have somebody that is doing Airbnb or wants to do Airbnb, I do not run numbers on that kind of stuff. Just because if I'm wrong and you made your bet on something that I do not personally have an Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
I've never had an Airbnb. I do not want to be held responsible for, Drew, you said this and that didn't happen. But I can tell you some of the challenges that you should look out for that I've heard from one of my clients. So she bought this townhouse at the beach, okay? She's owned it since March, and it was near Fifth Ave. And so not the greatest area for people who don't know, but it's definitely safe and it's okay. People who are moving or coming to stay in this Airbnb, they don't know the area. They only see what's around it, and they might not like it, and so you get bad reviews on your Airbnb. So you got to make sure that you know your area you're buying in, and you know what are these people going to say about it. So that's one thing, that negative reviews on your Airbnb based off of location and where it is and people's preferences.
Yeah, huge effect on your.
Huge effect. Then also, you're talking about cleaning. She's on this property for 6 months now or so, and these Airbnb people are not very careful. This was a brand new construction home, and it does not look like it's brand new construction anymore. It's still great and it held up well, but it's got a lot of love and wear and tear in it. So, you know, maintenance, you're going to definitely have to stay on top of maintenance, have a good handyman, and then a cleaning crew. I went in after before a clean one day, and let me tell you, people are not always like you and I. They're aspects of what's clean and what isn't.
It's not their regular house. They're out of there.
So make sure you have a good cleaner so that when that property's turned over, that client is happy. Because no one would. I know I would be upset walking into something that was like half butted.
Well, especially if you're like my wife. I mean, we have a handful of rental units, and then she's a real estate agent too. So she's helping people find renters for their places, and the Latira condos in King and Bear. They allow short-term rentals.
Yeah.
We primarily want people there at a month at a time or longer. I mean, we don't do the weekends anymore or anything like that. We could, but it's just too much hassle. So we're getting the snowbirds come down. They rent it for 3 or 4 months, or they're waiting for their house to be completed to be built. They sold their house. They're waiting 3 or 4 months. So they're doing that type of thing. But still, she goes in after the cleaners, and she still spends another hour cleaning it because that's her, just her personal standards, right? Yeah. And you now maybe your personal standards aren't as high as that. You're like, oh, whatever, the cleaner was in there. But again, somebody goes in there and the cleaner didn't clean it like you would clean it, and now they're writing a bad review.
Yep. Yeah. So that's one thing. You got to always make sure the guests are happy. And then another thing that I see that my clients do with Airbnbs, if you are thinking about getting into them, is amenities out the wazoo. You buy the fun house. And like with a pool, she wants to have a pool at every Airbnb that she buys, and that's the only one she buys. Then she has like pool tables. She has foosball tables. She decorates it all with neon lights and makes it fun, and it's like a hangout spot. So that's another. That would be my last tip.
Well, that I've heard that too. That you want to make it unique, and that's why you see some of these like crazy stuff, like these I won't say dome homes or whatever out west or whatever. Yeah. People want it different. That's why they're choosing Airbnb. They can go get a hotel room right there, or just go rent a basic beach house. Anybody can do that. But when you're the fun house, I mean, and there's some really, if you go on and search online, there are some really crazy fun houses out in Texas or whatever, where they have it's like a maze of games and whatever. Yeah.
When I go stay with my sister, she lives out in Alabama, and there's this Airbnb like 5 miles from her house, or maybe 2 or 3 miles. But it's in the middle of a horse pasture, and it's just like a converted shed that looks like a little 1900s bungalow. And that's where we go and stay. It's like $200 a night, and my sister's right down the road, and we go and hang out there with our dogs and my fiance. And we love it.
Yeah.
It's very unique.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go over to the seller side. How do I price my home correctly in today's market?
Pricing your home correctly in today's market is very important. I would say what I do to help you get there is I am right now in this market taking the last 3 months of data rather than the last 6. What I do is I'm going to look at the last 3 months. I'm going to look neighborhood specific first. like just your subdivision, 3 months, what's going on. I'm going to break down each house, and I do this into ChatGPT. So I'll find that neighborhood. I'll go in the last 3 months. I'll go active, pending, under contract, and it's sold. And I'll go in and I'll describe what I'm seeing each house into ChatGPT. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, Banana Street looks like it had new floors. It sold for this. It was updated. It was sat on market for this long. They did a price reduction of this. Like, I give it every single thing. Detail.
Yeah.
Not only am I learning it, but I'm putting it in here for it to learn as well too. Then I expand a little bit, and I'll go out to 6 months and see the trend. What is the trend over the last 6 months? What are we seeing there? What's the difference now versus then? What are we kind of seeing? And then I'll take the area as a whole to kind of compare it to the whole area to see if it's just this neighborhood specific thing, or is it the whole area? What's kind of going on there? I get a big picture, I get a micro picture. And so then I compare it to your home and your finishes and how your home looks. And that's how I run my numbers. I'm very detailed. It probably takes me an hour to 2 hours to run numbers on a house.
So have you, from your success side there, because not everyone's turning around, because there are some good homes that are, if they're priced right in the right neighborhood, all the other things that people were looking for, they may go in a weekend.
Yep.
Where others are sitting. What have you seen your success with this?
Yeah,
mindset that you are using?
Most of the time, and I work with a lot of expireds too. So I see it where they don't love what I'm telling them. But again, I stick to my guns. I don't have to have that.
Put logic out in front of them. You're putting this report.
Yep.
Here's all the information.
Yeah, I don't have to have that sign in the yard if you don't want to work with me. So I'm not going to put it up at a number that I'm going to spend $1,000 on marketing and then just lose it.
Right.
It's not me just being arrogant or anything like that. It's me knowing what's better, and you've already not sold. Why are we going to try something like that again? So I see success with it. I mean, every property that I've worked with that has expired with another agent, I've ended up selling. 100% success rate on that. So
coming in, pricing it right, and then leading into this question here, what upgrades will bring the return when selling here on the First Coast, or say Jacksonville Beach?
Your kitchen and bathrooms, that's what sells the house. I would agree. Your kitchen and bathrooms. Right now, in this market specifically, almost everybody wants it turnkey. So if you I think when I started, you could maintain a house that had some outdated features, and as long as it was maintained very well, people could look past it. But prices were a little bit different then too. So now you're talking about a house that's $50,000 more, $100,000 more than what it was. Well, now you get the same buyers that are looking at that house that maybe didn't buy then. They're like, well, if I'm going to pay this much for this house, it should be updated. It at least needs to have some type of countertops, maybe not high end of the line. Like, let's just say average price here in a $350,000 home. People don't want old carpet in it. They want it to at least have some new LVP. Maybe they don't want a prefab tub, or they can have a prefab tub in one, but then the master shower needs to be like tile or something like that. And that's going to help you sell a lot quicker than just having the bathrooms from the 1980s or the Formica countertops and the cabinets from the 70s or the 80s when they were built. If you can do any of those upgrades.
Have you had any, and I'm throwing one at you, you may or may not have had this recently, but something maybe in the last 6 months or whatever, where you've gone in on a listing appointment, they're using you where you're like, hey, let's change the cabinet facings, or just something fairly reasonably can be done within a couple of days. You can hire out to a simple contract, just something simple.
Yeah.
If you had, what are some of the fixes that you've done?
Yeah, so I mean, and these new contracts are fantastic with that. So I don't know if anybody's using the residential purchase and sale versus the as is, but that if you can do all of those kind of upgrades. So I had a lady in the north side, and she had bought a new construction home about 2017. She had 3 kids in it. And so the house mechanically was super sound and fine. Everything was working, electrical, windows, roof, AC, all that was fine. But it was battered cosmetically. So really, we didn't even change the carpet. We had somebody come in, steam the carpets. I hired a cleaning company to come and do a deep clean on the house. I told her to get out of the house for the weekend. I did a deep clean on it. And then I hired one of my painters to come in and paint it. This house that sat on the market before, I think we maybe dropped by like $5 or $10 grand from what it was at previously. It sat on the market before, looked like whenever it was first listed, came in, took a little bit of time to take care of it the next time, and we sold. Just from doing those little things, and I think it cost altogether maybe around $3,000 to get everything done.
Right.
And then you make the money rather than negotiating $20,000 off your sale price. You spend $3,000 and you make it back. Such net positive 17 grand of what you probably would have been.
Well, I think we often when we're telling these type of stories, we don't know the situation always with the seller. They tell us why they're selling, but then and then there's a timeline. Like, why didn't that, however long that you said it was on the market, 100 days or something, why didn't the first agent like go in there and go, okay, what's your urgency to sell? Well, I need to sell within the next month or two. Okay, well, great. Well, this is what we need to do, and we need some fresh paint. We need a deep clean. Let's really scrub the carpets, or find some negotiating thing where I think all real estate agents can all tell a story where they've sold a house that did have the bathrooms just finished in the last few months, but then the new buyer comes in and does it again. It happens. But it moved the house initially where, as we know, sometimes buyers don't have this vision of going, oh, hey, I don't care whether the bathrooms are old. I'm going to replace them anyway. Just sell it to me cheaper, right?
Yeah, sell it cheaper. So, I don't know. I also offer my clients as well, like, my client before could not afford to do that, and her other agent didn't offer any help. I offer to help with that and just get compensated on the back end. So I do that for my clients as a part of my structure. Like, I did multiple options whenever I'm listing with somebody of what you can do. And I got this from Quintavious Burdett. I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he was the top RE/MAX agent in Mississippi. He went to Ole Miss, played football there, and so he got into real estate about the same time as me. And I think he sold like 100 homes his first year in real estate ever. So it took a lot from him. But he does that for his clients. He'll give you a cash offer on your house for as is. And then he'll also, give you a regular listing option, and then he'll give you a listing option where, hey, I come in, I do these renovations to help you sell quicker, and we can split the profits. And so that's kind of what I took on as well too. Yeah, no,
that's savvy. I think Compass has something similar with their agents. I think CC Underwood was that does something similar too. But to have, that lady didn't have $3,000 out of her pocket, but you were able to roll it onto the back end because she had the equity. Yeah. Brilliant. Should I sell my house before buying a new one, or the other way around? So that's an interesting question.
That depends. And there's what I've become privy to recently is a lot of bridge loan options for that situation where you can go ahead and buy that next one and then get yours empty and sell it. Now, obviously, you don't want to hold two houses at once. Not many people do. So you got to make sure you price yours correctly and get it ready to sell. Right now, be a hard time to buy two houses at once. It's not impossible if you price correctly, but it's kind of up to you and what you want. As a seller, I feel like you have the driver's seat in the transaction. If you want to go ahead and sell your house and buy the next one, go ahead and do it. Or if you are the seller and somebody offers on your home, you could be like, hey, give me a month. I got to find a house to close. And 9 times out of 10 with the buyers that I've seen, that buyer's going to be like, okay, I can give you a month. And maybe it takes a negotiation like, okay, well, our rent is $5,000, so you cut it $5,000 or give us $5,000 and we'll do that. So,
well, I'm going to, for my audience who may know this, maybe most of you don't, if you give me how close you were listening to this program, but we here at Planet Home Lending, not that I put that, actually ChatGPT put that question in there, but here's your answer. We have a program called Purchase Edge, and basically if you had a situation where well, I'll give you an example. I had a local agent, had buyers here in town. They needed this. They could not get approved with the other home down in Wellington, which is down like towards West Palm. They relocating here because of jobs. So income was there and everything. We were good there, but they needed that off their debt ratio to buy here. And because that house hadn't sold yet, they're like, oh, well, maybe we'll just rent for a year. And then when that house sells, we'll get back on the market in a year. With the Purchase Edge program, we actually make the cash offer. Okay, we put a cash offer 7 days before their house here closes. So 7 days before we sign a contract, we're going to give them, it is 75 cents on the dollar, but we're going to give you 120 days to sell that now. So you continue. So if it's your listing, you still have another 4 months to sell that for them. Before we buy. We really don't want the home. We're doing it to get the loan on the purchase, but we will give you 4 more months to sell it. So we take it out of their debt ratio because we're one of the major servicer as well. So we're servicing that mortgage. So you can actually take the contingency out of it. If you think, hey, if you give me another 120 days, I can get this done. That person actually, what ended up happening is a week before they were closing here, they got a cash offer, and we were able to. So it actually worked out. But they would never have gone under contract. Because their house down there hadn't gone under,
Yeah.
had some offers, but the contracts fell through or whatever. So yeah, but the Purchase Edge program will take that contingency. If you think you could turn around, which you met Tom as you came in here. He had one in Nashville. Long story short, we did do a bridge loan, had a lot of equity in it, but they actually were able to pull some money out, and the people had lived in there for a long time, older, moving down here, cleared all their stuff out, painted, new flooring, blah, blah, blah. Boom, the house sold, obviously for what they could have, what the agent felt it was worth if it was in the proper condition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he was selling a house that was cluttered, it was old, needs some work done. Yeah. He was happy because he now could sell a house that he could get top dollar for and sold faster, right?
Yeah.
In 45. So they literally moved down here, moved in their new home, and they sold that home within 45 days of the closing here, and it all worked out. So those programs are out there. All right, agent growth. We'll finish these last 3 questions here. How can a new agent build a full-time real estate business and close 1,000 plus transactions in just a few years?
1,000?
100 plus. 100
Oh,
plus.
I was about to say 1,000.
I added a zero there. 100 plus transactions.
You're really working hard.
How'd you do it? How did you do it? That's the question.
So I did it by leaning on others for support, and you take your pride out of it, go and do it. Again, pair up with somebody who's going to support your growth, and that's what I did. So get with somebody where they give you the opportunities, and you just work your butt off to get there, and you learn the process. And then after that, what I did when I left was I sharpened my edge by learning different avenues of real estate, by whether it be investors, developing, or building, to where now I go out and I get my own clients, and I get them from open houses. I call expireds, and then I do a lot of my past clients. I'm always reaching out to them and talking to them, asking about their friends, family, anything like that, and staying top of mind, sending them monthly gifts. So that's a big thing for me, is you've got to let everyone in the world know that you're a realtor. Don't be afraid to post the content. Don't be afraid to let them know. Don't be afraid to send letters. Don't be afraid to do anything. If you're going to do anything at all in this business, you've got to be exuberant and all about real estate and let everybody know you're a realtor. You
mentioned this gentleman, Matt, right? Is that Matt? In the collaboration where you've reached out to some of these people, have you ever had someone who obviously you saw what Matt was doing, he was successful, you wanted to learn about it. When you asked him, have you ever had really someone like just totally blow you off and say, hey, Drew, I'm not going to tell you my secrets?
Yeah, multiple times.
You have?
Multiple times.
But how many have actually said, hey, yeah, when you invite, say, let's get a cup of coffee or lunch?
Maybe 2 or 3. 2 or 3 out of maybe like 30.
Oh, I thought it would be the other way around. That's why I was asking the question. Oh, interesting.
No,
so you felt more people were trying to be protective of what they were doing versus willing to share what they were doing.
Yeah, no, maybe not protective, but spending their time better elsewhere. And I can understand that as a business owner.
Right.
You come in, you get a guy who's 20 years old, and he's like, hey, show me what you're doing. And then in this business, I've seen it firsthand as well, too. There's a lot of people who aren't going to stick around very long. And you don't know if that person is one of them. Yeah,
no doubt if you talk to some of the best agents where they have been, like, agents have asked them out for coffee and, hey, what should I do? And they tell them what to do, and they just don't do it. Yeah. So then they're like, I don't have to.
So
ask me 6 times, and then maybe I'll break down, right? But you say you maintained your persistence, right? What does it take to deliver the best possible results for buyers and sellers and investors in a competitive market?
I think everything that I've kind of talked about, it's learning more than just, opening the door and knowing the contract, but also knowing the contract in and out. Because again, I've seen it this year where I've been able to use that purchase and sale agreement over the as is for some of my sellers and have these buyers in a situation where their agent didn't know, and my seller's happy because we don't have to do these repairs that were unnecessary. So, having that edge of your contract knowledge, having the edge of being honest and not just wanting to sell, looking out for your client's best interest, I think is super important. And then just learning more about real estate, like what goes into the house. If you can go into a house before a buyer even puts an offer on it and they have to spend $500 on an inspection, if you can point something out that you already know, and maybe you can go ahead and get it written in the contract, or if it's a deal breaker, then you just saved your client $500 on an inspection that they would have spent, and maybe they canceled them because it was something that didn't happen.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm always very proactive in all of my deals. So
do you order pre-listing inspections for some of your sellers?
Sometimes it depends on how they are with them, but for the most part, no. For the most part, no. I'll do a genuine walkthrough myself and kind of inspect everything. And if I see anything, or if there's enough out there to make me say I think we should do this, then we'll do it.
Well, obviously with roofs, water heaters, those insurance things out that the insurance companies are all after. Every agent, that should be, I mean, that's something they can find out themselves.
Yeah.
Or, the insurance companies find out. If you call your insurance agents, they can quickly find out when was the last time there was a permit for that roof or the water heater or whatever. They can find out quickly for you too. I think it's not done enough. I think it's the difference between the top 1 or 2% of the agents in the area who are obviously great listing agents and so forth, because they're doing that due diligence. They're solving those problems. Like, okay, we're going to have a roof problem. You can't just not say anything, because they're going to have inspection. They're going to tell you it's 15 years old, and the insurance companies are going to be narrow, and then they're going to be back at you saying, hey, the roof needs to be replaced. So we need to tackle this up front. How do we need to strategically, handle the situation? And the water heater, in my opinion,
it's the craziest thing. Well, I have a story about that too.
Okay.
But yeah,
go ahead.
Just setting expectations with your clients, like your sellers. You go into a house, and I ask all of my sellers, do I have the permission with you to be completely honest? And I am. And I tell them, this is going to come up, this is going to come up, this is going to come up, this is going to come up. And so when it comes up, they're not like, what the heck, what happened to all this? They expected it, and my clients are a lot calmer throughout that process. Like, I don't think I've had but one cancellation on a listing all year. And that's or two now, because a buyer went out and bought a house with a different agent. The buyer's agent didn't even know what was going on. But about the water heaters, we had a flip out in Atlantic Beach. Had this water heater in there that'd been in there for 30 years, working completely fine. Insurance agent came, said we gotta.
They've been rolling their dice for 15 years.
We gotta get a new water heater out there. We buy a new water heater. We let it sit over the weekend. It starts leaking over the first weekend. It's like, okay, this thing was literally working fine. Now I had to go buy this new one, and it already breaks in the heat of the garage in freaking 2 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, luckily it was in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily.
If you have garage water heater, those are ideal. Yeah. I just remember mine years ago, coming home and the water just is pouring out the garage. Under the door. How do you leverage a background outside of real estate, logistics business, to excel in as a modern real estate advisor?
So outside of real estate, what do I do?
Your pre-real estate business, which wasn't long, so obviously it didn't know how old you were,
different. But I'll tell you one thing that I took from that again was I was working had to be there at least 8 a.m. if not 6 a.m. most days, and then I'm driving from Savannah to Daytona, and I'm working my butt off, and I'm getting home at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. every day, and that's not fun. But I'm working hard, and I have no choice but to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that I took with me because I was already used to working hard, and then in a business where you tell me I work hard, I make what I want to make, and I do the deals that I want to do, and it's all up to me. I'm just going to continue to work hard. It's what I know. It's what I do. And I feel like that's a big background. And then coming around from like another sales position, just learning from those guys how to talk, and like totally different world, because it's medical. You're dealing with doctors, you're dealing with surgeons, and you're in the hospital, OR, et cetera, et cetera. It's different situations, but you learn how these people handle sales situations. And we see them today as agents. So I think some of that is what I took, but really it's just like the grit of showing up every day and continuing to do it day in and day out, because this is like a 90-day business. I put effort in today. I'm not going to see the result of it for 90 days, and just staying on track with that.
This has been a great show. I mean, the time has gone by. I don't think you realize how much time has gone by. No. We're almost to an hour and 20 minutes, but it's been jam-packed full of good stories and great conversation, and a lot of, I think, as a young agent, or someone thinking about getting in the business, this is a great show. But what you've done in just a few years of being in the business, and the knowledge that you've gone after. This is not stuff that's, DJ and Lindsay may have forced some of the stuff upon you that you didn't know, but you've also said, hey, I need to expand. And I think I compliment you on the fact that you've gone out there, and it's so important. I think everyone will tell you, of speaking to agents 10, 20 years older than you, that they understand that confidence is a big part of this business, and the confidence comes from you having the knowledge and realizing, yeah, you're dealing with a homeowner who doesn't know, who needs your knowledge to make good decisions. And when you're willing to pour that knowledge into them, it makes this dealing with the client so easy, because they just eat it up, and you're telling them the truth. In the end, they feel like they've made a proper decision in the choice of their home. Yeah. Anything you like to add?
No, I just want to thank you. This has been a really cool experience for me. I've never been
Hey,
recognized like this or done anything like this, so it's really, really
well.
cool.
It'll be out there in the podcast world next week. It's already streaming, so it's actually streamed on YouTube and Facebook. So I'll share it over to yours. So it's out there. It's, for anyone to see at any time and search, and we'll put all the SEO and tag all your contact information. So hopefully, anyone looking to get to know more about you, whether it's a future client or maybe, who knows, and maybe in the future you want to build a team, whatever, and they want to know, what's your background, we've got it right here and we got it recorded.
Yes, sir.